welcome to the Louisville Center for Spiritual Living. Stand as you're able and join us for our first song, There is Goodness.
Also for our people that will see this online. Reverend Carolyn is taking at the end of the month off so that she can rest, and we have a special speaker today, and keeping it simple, I'll just go right to introducing Brent to you all. I'm just realizing. Remember to practice what we practice and know what we know. So before I do that, let's just take a moment to fully arrive, evoking the light of spirit within each of our beings. All of us coming from different places, different paths, to arrive here together. And so we breathe, breathing in the fullness of life, and exhaling completely in order to fully relax into being just right here, right now. Knowing that timing and spirit is divine, and that the meeting here, each of us here present, is perfect and has its unique moment, its unique expression for each of us individually and for the center as a whole. And I know in this moment that it is divinely directed and guided, that each person is fulfilled in what they came to. And so I release it, and I let it be, and so it is. Now, it is my great pleasure to introduce you all to Brent. Brent has been with us before, so you all may well remember him. But it just tickles me to be able to let you know that it's a fulfillment for me when Brent and Shannon get to come, because we have known each other for so long, like 30 years we started. And back then, this was a Jesse Church at Creative Life. None of us knew that we would be doing it. I mean, I was probably on the track to become a practitioner, but other than that, I mean, Shannon's music career was, you know, a seed planted waiting to germinate, and Brent, he was like, you know, sometimes I think I might be an instrument. And I'm like, yes! So all of that is to say that every time, because that's in Texas, and so every time we find ourselves here, it's like, okay, how do you migrate the whole lot of us from Texas to here, you know, in two totally different paths? And so I always know that when we have a chance to be in the same room, that whatever comes from it is vibration. And so that is what I want to share with you guys at this very moment. And that brings me to announcements.
Okay, announcements. My first announcement is I was not in a bar fight, and my partner did not do this to me. I know, I was trying to move masonry with my head. Never a good idea. Okay, now the other, writing hymns is harder than I thought. I can't think of anything that rhymes with hallelujah except glad I knew ya. And we'll let it go. And we'll tattoo you. And we'll tattoo you. Oh, that's good. I like it. I like it, yeah. Okay, coming next week, Angie Cole, RSCP, Santa Rosa, California. What are you waiting for? And does anybody, let's see, do you want to make any comments about that, or?
Sure. Actually, Maggie has also been with us before, and probably, who remembers Maggie? Was any of you with us? She did a workshop for us. She is the lovely, lovely, long-standing metaphysician who, she has a story with her son because years ago, like 1974 or something, she and her 9-year-old son were in a fire. And what she learned about how to navigate how you do your healing and how you do your grief and how you do your anger and how you do whatever it is we're going through and still live on the leading edge of your metaphysics. And so her topic for this particular time, I think, is a little bit different than that particular thing, but I'm sure that almost everything she does is informed by that wisdom, and so definitely that's going to be something to be able to see. And Carolyn will actually be here next week for that. She's coming through town, and she just called Carolyn up and said, hey, I'm going to be there. And Carolyn said, yeah, you know, even though she's also not here this week. So that's what that's about.
Thank you very much. Also, coming next week, community visioning for LCSL, first Saturday of every month, May 4th, 10 which is also what? Well, no, that's the day after.
No, it's
Yeah. Okay, by Telebridge, there's our number here, 712-775-8983, access 809-778.
Yes.
Contact this Vicki right here for more information.
So the one thing I want to share with you all about that is it's going really well, and the consistency there is excellent, and you might be interested in checking it out a little bit more. I do believe we're going to have a visioning class coming up. We don't normally do classes in the summer, but Paula Thomas, who you all probably know and remember, she's tracking toward going into practitioner. She needs one more class before this fall. And visioning is what we're looking at doing. So as soon as I have all the details, I'll be letting you guys know that. But that class and this process is, like this process is the actual practical application of that class. So look for more information about that too. Yes, this is the month. Thank you. Would you want to jump up? So this is the process that was developed by Reverend Dr. Michael Beckwith, who he was so successful at this. When he started, he was about our size. And he is a Centers for Spiritual Living minister, actually. But he developed visioning, the process of visioning, so completely and so deeply that his community did this like every week, and that's how Agape blossomed. Whoever, if you guys know about Agape, and he got so big, his organization got bigger than all of Centers for Spiritual Living was, and everybody sat down and said, well, you know, we know that you're CSL and we love you, but you should do your own thing. And so and they still do it today. It's a very basic process. So there you go.
Okay, good, great, thank you. Thank you. May 5th, Social Sunday theme, Kentucky favorites. Okay, I guess leftovers from Derby parties, etc. Welcome or not?
Yeah, those are their favorites.
Yeah, these are the favorites here. Practitioner of the day, Pat.
Yay,
Pat. Yay, Pat. And April's affirmation. Okay, everybody together now. The arrival of spring reminds me to be open to spiritual rebirth and to renewing my ways of thinking and feeling. Yes.
Thank you, Gordon. You're awesome.
Tell a story.
Oh, story time.
Oh, sure.
Yes. Does anyone have a story that you would like to share? I always want to give a little bit longer, because I had this on that somebody really thought of that. They would come up with a story that they would like to share. Awesome! Those who have been to the Holy Land, I'm sure there are stories. Yes.
We just came back from Egypt for 2 weeks. And I just want to say I have a whole different attitude about Muslims. And our program director, our guy, Big Mo, because his real name is Mohammed, and he said if you say Mohammed in a crowd, everybody turns around. And the other 2 guys were Osama,
Oh, no.
and the third one was Hussein. And they couldn't have been any more compassionate, loving. I mean, there is more similarities than us, are different. So I just want to say Egypt is a very safe place, very loving, welcoming people are in Egypt.
Thank you. Yes, and we are very, very happy to have you home. Now, have a reading. This is coming from the size of my text.
Busy.
Oh, yes. Yes. So I will stand silent. So that we can hear the book. Now we know that there is a difference between your average everyday and your professional warrior. Yay! That's what I mean about the energy of this day. This is just awesome. So, I'm sure Brent will introduce his own talk, but the reading today is inspired from what he told me when I asked him what his topic would be, because I said, I want to let the world know that they need to come here to speak, so what's your topic? And he said, that wasn't supposed to happen. And so he's going to be talking about where we're at and what we do when it seems like this fantastic process that we're touting all the time is, you can choose and you can have this. Well, what happens when that doesn't happen the way you thought it was supposed to happen? So I thought be a good idea to lay a little bit of a preface for what a demonstration is to begin with. When and what is a demonstration? In the language of metaphysics, a demonstration is made when the thing is accomplished which the one treating desires to achieve, whether it be health, happiness, or abundance. A demonstration is a manifestation, it is a prayer answered. When the word of the practitioner, which is everyone, takes the form of a demonstration, when a desire is given a subjective mold and then becomes objectified in the actual life of the one praying. This is a demonstration. The practitioner, of course, gives thanks as we make the demand, and the infinite knowing and infinite supply respond. And that is the request as instantly manifest on the invisible plane. Before thy call, I will answer, which is to say, it is actually done even before we ask.
I love your sweater, by the way, Vicky. I will be gentle with myself, like a delicate gossamer gown. It cloaks me in its silken threads, till my soul is nourished again. Surround myself in softness and the tenderness of time will open forth the flower with petals of sweet rhyme. I will be gentle with myself, like a delicate gossamer gown that cloaks me in its silken threads till my soul is nourished again. Surround myself in softness and the tenderness of time will open forth the flower with petals of sweet rhyme. The gentle winds of wisdom caress my battered skin, softly singing in the trees as an ancient love pours in. Fears of the ragged past shall all turn to decay as the song that sings me homeward shall sing the night away. Fears of the ragged past shall all turn to decay as the song that sings me homeward shall sing the night away.
Good morning. Well, the genesis of today's talk for me comes from a couple of sources, actually. My own experience and the experience of all those wonderful souls that have shared for me and with me their journey across the years. And from something anecdotally that I've noticed in my experience in a number of these churches over the past 30 some odd, almost 40 years, what I've noticed with the churches is that new people come in, they, after an initial resistance, not understanding this is church and it being so different than what they're used to and some of the ideas being so fresh and new, they sort of like jump into the deep end of the pool and all of a sudden miracles pop up left and right and it's just amazing and it blows their socks off. And what happened to me and what I see happening to so many of these others is that at about the 2-year mark, the door slammed shut and nothing worked. Worse, not only did it not work, we got to experience that old prayer of don't pray for patience. You know this. What happens when you pray for patience? You get lots of opportunities to practice patience. Right? So a lot of the times what we were doing and attempting to manifest actually seemed to be producing the opposite results. Pray for, lilies and you get weeds. This isn't supposed to happen. So how do we explain this? What do we do with it? And what's the lesson in that for us? Now, there's probably some of you in here who can't identify. So if you haven't reached the point in your spiritual path where everything backfires and nothing works, I pray that continues for you. And please let us know how you do it. If, on the other hand, you kind of grow some, shrink some, stub your toe, bump your knee, say a couple of purple words in the process, then hang out. I think I've got some experience, strength, and hope for you. I start this talk with some basic assumptions. Number one, I assume that we have all more or less intellectually made peace with our core concept, and that emotionally we're wrestling with it if we haven't completely embraced it. And that core concept is that there is one peace, one power, one presence, manifest fully here in everything, everyone, every experience. There is no place where God is not. The corollary to that, then, is that I am like light shining through a prism, a wavelength of that divine consciousness, my very embodiment. My emotions, my senses, everything I see, everything I say is an experience of the divine. It's the Semitic concept of this. They call it the Ruah. That we are the very breath of God breathed forth into time and space. That's who you are. You are the very life force of infinite spirit pressed forward into time and space for one job and one job only, and that's to live from that place and be that in the world. My next basic assumption is that we all endeavor to live from that place. So as such, we do everything we can to be a presence of peace and harmony and love in the world. That as conscious divine beings, we try to be impeccable with our word. That before we speak, we ask, is it kind, is it true, is it necessary? That we catch ourselves when we slip into judgment and condemnation or wrath. That we don't participate in gossip or hurtful slander. That we stick to the truth of ourselves and of each other as much and as closely as best we can. And my third assumption is that each of us has a daily spiritual practice, that we spend as much time listening as we do projecting. that we make it a point to consciously dwell with that indwelling presence, with that allness that is the divine spirit that fills every cell, every fiber of my being. So those are the three basic assumptions. That's the three-legged stool upon which our entire faith experience rests. So I hope that you're with me in that. If you're not, if there's something you've left out, then consider adding it. But the basic assumption is that we start there and we're living in this place and we're doing these things on a daily basis. And my experience has been that as much as I struggle to maintain that discipline and stay in that space, I still have times when I feel like I'm on the outside looking in. When everything in my life seems to fall apart, where everything I touch seems to decay at my grasp. What do we do with this? I'm going to share with you 4 tricks that I've learned. Some honestly, most of them I've picked up from other people. It's just the source of them is lost to me, lost to memory. I don't take credit for any of these. Wise companions, loving souls along the way have shared them with me, and I've absorbed them, and sometimes I remember to use them, and sometimes I don't. You see, one of the ugly truths about me is sometimes I like to hang out in suffering and self-pity. Don't ask me why I'm Irish. Blame it on the DNA. I don't know what to tell you. But it was really, really important to me, so I did something today that I don't normally do. I actually made notes, and normally I'm just up here ham-fisted, just kind of going for it. But the first thing I want to talk about are energy blocks. We all have them. They fill our life. They clutter our life. They're like dust bunnies. They're everywhere you look. And energy blocks are things that clutter our life. They're time wasters. They're space wasters. They're love wasters. They're passion wasters. So if you're in the spot where things aren't working, if you're in the spot with like praying for patience and all you're experiencing is opportunities to practice patience, if you're in that space of divine discontent where something just isn't working well for you, take a really good look at your environment. And here I don't just mean your physical environment. I want you to think about your time environment, your daily calendar, your daily habits and routines. Look for time wasters. Do you spend way too much time watching reruns of MASH when you really could be reading or journaling or talking, reconnecting with an old friend, spending time with a family member you haven't seen in a while? Is there something more life-giving than some of these things we do? Ever find yourself in front of the computer when you're just kind of surfing, or maybe you go back in to clean up the inbox because you've let it scroll 550 pages, and really there are other things you need to be doing, but you just can't. We all do this. We have these time wasters. They're energy blocks. Other energy blocks is just clutter in our life. It's springtime. Clean out that closet. Clean out the garage. Get the stuff out of your life that no longer serves you. And when you do this, don't just put the stuff out on the curb to go to the landfill. If you're like me and you've got a closet full of clothes that you can no longer wear, that are in really, really, really good shape, there are other people right here in this town who would love to have access to that clothing. Donate it. Put it to good use. Put it to the service of life. That's why it was created in the first place. You got a shelf full of old books you'll never touch again. Well, a library might like to have them. I know a hospital lending cart would love to have them. There might be some preschools that could use some of the stuff you have. Find a life-serving, life-generative purpose for the stuff that clutters your life that no longer serves you. The next thing I want to recommend to you is I want you to take this litmus test to see how open you are to change to begin with. Every demonstration represents a life change. We wouldn't be attempting to demonstrate if we had everything we wanted or needed to make us be fulfilled, right? So we're consciously pursuing change. Guess what? Human beings don't like change. We don't. We're innately hardwired to resist it, and there's really good life-serving meaning behind that. It's good that we don't want change. It's good, to a certain extent, that we resist the novel, the untried, the inexperienced. Trust me, you don't want to go out to Blue Lick State Park and just start eating every wild berry you see. Not a good idea. Sometimes resistance to change is a life-affirming, adaptive skill. But when we consciously seek change, resistance to change is counterproductive. So I've got a litmus test, and that is I want you to pick a daily routine. Something that you just do out of habit. And I want you to consciously change it for 30 days. And I'm going to give you a really, really basic one. I have, for many, many years now, been in the habit of showering. Never take a bath, I shower. Okay? I have a routine when I get in the shower. I start at the head, work my way to the feet. No? I shampoo first, then I do this, and I do that, start on the right side of the body, the left. And I've just got this routine to the point that it's unconscious. Jump in the shower, wham, bam, thank you, done. Out in 30 seconds, right? All kind of weirdness ensues when I try to do it different. I'll forget, I'm supposed to do this. And I mean, it's built up muscle memory, and I feel completely lost. What was I doing? Nope, that's the old way. Wait. When we change our routine, it forces us to be consciously present to the moment. And it makes us aware the extent to which we ain't. I'll speak for myself. To the extent to which I'm mostly asleep most of the time. And it can be the path you travel to work, the route you take to the grocery store, what day of the week you go grocery shopping. Pick something in your life that for you is routine. Speaking of grocery shopping, ask my wife what happens when I take a different path through the grocery store. See what creatures of habit we become? I mean, I always go in the door, head to the right, hit produce, bing, 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 have my path around the store, and I'm out. I change that and go a different route, and I get really, really surly and forget half the stuff I went in there to buy. Resistance to change. How and where is it operative in my life? When I change my routine, pick something that I want to deliberately do different. The gifts of that are it makes me aware of how much I'm in autopilot and not fully open to the present. It makes me aware the extent to which I'm spiritually and emotionally discomforted by change. Now what do I do with that? I really need to take that in prayer and ask Spirit at what level that's impacting my prayer and my experience. The next thing I want to suggest to you is that we pay it forward. The next thing I want to suggest to you is that you get into active service somehow, and there's a caveat to this, as discreetly and confidentially as you can. One of my favorite things to do is pick a store, any store. When you drive in the parking lot, you see a cart sitting in, and what really makes me sad is quite often it's in the handicap space or the aisle for the van to unload. Somebody will leave a shopping cart right there. You're walking past it anyway. You're going in the store. Take it in. Take in a shopping cart when you go to the store. Even if you have to pull it out of the bin. Save the kid coming out there in the weather. Save him that one little extra task to do. Take in a cart rather than grabbing one inside. Well, you pull through Starbucks, buy somebody a coffee, the random act of kindness thing. Try the random act of kindness thing every once in a while. But make these conscious, deliberate acts of service without any thought of what's in it for me. As a thank you to Spirit, do it. And if you're an overachiever, pick a passion and volunteer with a group in the community pursuing that passion. Are you passionate about climate? Then volunteer with a reforesting effort or a city cleanup effort. Or are you concerned about poverty, suffering? Volunteer at a hospital, volunteer at the food bank. There are agencies and groups and community collectives in every hamlet of the country seeking to solve some of these problems. Join them for a couple of hours a week. Be of service. Get out there and see what you can do to live your passion just a little bit. You love animals? I promise you the animal shelter could really use your help. Just to answer the phone for a couple of hours if you can. Find some place where you're needed and the service is needed that aligns with your passion, and live in that space as a conscious gift to Spirit, as a conscious manifestation of the presence of Spirit in the world. The last thing I want to suggest to you is that you spend some time on a daily basis. Consider adding this to your spiritual practice of inhabiting the feeling of divine bliss. Wow, that's a big one. I can't do that. Look, I am convinced, and this is just for me, I am convinced that the beginning of the spiritual journey begins in the experience of awe and wonder. And that the gifts of this journey along the way are moments of joy and a true human response to every spiritual experience is deep and profound gratitude. How do we get these feelings? How do we cultivate them in our daily life? Beauty. I will suggest what works for me is just the reality of the cosmos itself. There is, within an easy day trip from here, an observatory where you can go and you can actually, see presentations, look through telescopes, actually see what a huge, advanced, beautiful, expansive space this universe really is. Nature lover? Red River Gorge, State Park, Silent Stream. But regularly find some place to go in search of awe and wonder. Open to joy. gratitude. What I want to say about gratitude is pivotal, especially when we hit those places when it doesn't work. This gratitude can be really, really, really hard to find in those moments. And in those moments, I start with the simplest of things. Do you have a roof over your head? Do you have any idea how many people on this planet do not? Do you have a warm, clean bed to climb into? Do you know how many people on this planet do not? Do you have shoes on your feet? Oh, here's the big one. Is your refrigerator full? That's your pantry. You know how many people will die today from starvation? When you lift the tap in your kitchen sink, does water come out? You know how many people will die today from thirst? Lack of access to clean water? Typhoid? It's a staggering number. Talked about awe and wonder and looking at the cosmos. Consider all of the places that we've discovered, all of the things we've observed, even walked on the moon. Most of the lights we see in the sky, most of the light you will see in the sky aren't stars. That's a misnomer. They're galaxies. Go online and look at the pictures from the Hubble Space Telescope. Search Hubble Deep Field. It will amaze you. The Hubble engineers turned the telescope to a black place in the sky. They had time to kill. There was time between two astronomers' reservations. One astronomer had finished early. The other one wasn't ready to start, so the operator of the telescope turned it to a black spot in the sky, left the aperture open. The other astronomer got ready. He turned over controls to the other astronomer, and he went back to look just for chuckles, just for grins, to see if he caught anything. Guess what he caught? A huge image with more galaxies than you could count. Galaxies. Now, of all of these things we've seen, every single galaxy, what is the rarest element in the universe? Do you know? Life itself. Every other body that we've seen, every other body we've been able to measure, every other body that we've discovered, for all intents and purposes, appears to be lifeless. You don't think this is a gift? Just breathing is a gift? Just to experience, to see a sunrise. This is how God experiences its creation. How does God know what salt tastes like? Because I put too much on my food. That's the reality of who we are and what we're doing. From that place of routine and unconscious, from that clutter in our environment and our life, from the way we go through life with blinkers on and these little acts of kindness that we could do so easily on a daily basis just to take a little load off of somebody else. And yet this experience of awe and wonder, this majesty and beauty of life lies wide open before us constantly. And I miss it so much, so often, so frequently. And then I wonder, why isn't it working? Why don't I have the lottery numbers yet? Why am I stuck in this job? But it's just me. I mean, we're here to teach what we need to learn, right? That's just me. One of the things that got my attention in spiritual pursuits very early on was the contemplative Christian practices, and one in particular, the labyrinth. I love the labyrinth. Never really understood why. I mean, first time I did it, of course, me, creature of routine, me, got to have a purpose, a destination, what's this about? One of the things that after countless times of doing one that I noticed was, you know, there are times when you walk a labyrinth. How many of you in here have actually walked a labyrinth? A few of you? Yeah. When you walk a labyrinth, if you notice, there are times it feels like you're moving away from the center. When you first start, you make really good progress towards the center, don't you? And then all of a sudden you find yourself stepping back and walking away, and you're getting farther from the center. And this kind of continues, this ebb and flow all the way through the process. But guess what the reality of it is? From the minute you set foot in the labyrinth, with every step you're getting closer to the center. It's your perception that you're moving away from the center. It's not a fact. Guess what? In a labyrinth, there are no detours. There's only one destination. The center. And it doesn't matter how fast or how slow you go, we're all going to end up in the same spot. The center. It's a great analogy for me of our spiritual journey. We're all headed home, and by home I mean that spiritual center where we live fully, completely, consciously, with every breath, in that place of awe and wonder as instruments of the divine, where we live fully, completely into the experience that God experiences breathing through me. That divine spirit experiences the fragrance of the grass and the flowers through me. The taste of salt and of honey through me. That I, and the eyes, the ears, the nose, the mouth, I'm the feet and the hands of the divine. To live in that place so fully and so completely that the only demonstration I want is that when I touch you, when I embrace you, you feel it. Not me, not little Brent, but you feel it. You feel as though all the love in the universe just descended on you. Just enfolds you, fills you up from head to toe. Man. Am I there yet? Regret that I'm not, and I've had lots of years to practice. But it's a labyrinth. It's a labyrinth. There's one way in. There's one destination. And even though there are moments I feel far from the center, the truth is, I'm not. If I've said anything today to encourage you, if there's anything that rung true for you, if you, like so many of us, me included, would like a book to reference to help with the process that I've outlined, she has different steps and different suggestions, but it's someone that we knew in Houston who was a professor of religious studies at Rice University and was executive director of the Boniac Center for Religious Tolerance, Dr. Jill Carroll. And she wrote a book called Stop the Crap. And I highly recommend that book to you. It's available from Amazon. If you really want to do some spiritual spring cleaning, if anything I said today touched a nerve, it's different steps, but it's the same process and the same principles. If you're in that place where you feel like you're farther from the center than you were when you started, if you're in that place where you really, really need a big demonstration and nothing's happening or nothing's happening like you need it to, if you really want to try to do something different, then I invite you to pick up any of the suggestions that I made today that ring true for you or challenge you or sound interesting. And if you need to read it from, a more credentialed authority, I don't blame you at all, and I recommend Dr. Carroll. I thank you very much for your presence here today. I don't take anyone's presence for granted. We teach what we need to learn, and your presence here today was a great service to me. For that, I am ever grateful. Thank you. Oh, I owe you a meditation, don't I? Yeah, I do. I'm not done till I'm done.
That was a nice little shift, though.
It was. Well, I invite you to close your eyes if that's comfortable for you. Relax into this sacred space. I invite you to consciously embrace this idea of Ruah, the very breath of God. Breathe forward into time and space. Let your attention fall gently to your breathing. Be still. Be still and know that I am. I am the life, I am the love that breathes you into being. You are my beloved in whom I am well pleased. Like rays from the sun, you are my divine nature, shone forth through time and space. You are the light of the world. I am in you. You are in me. For as it was in the beginning, is now, and forever will be. In worlds without end. Another deep cleansing breath. And as you desire, allow your space, yourself, to come back into this time and this place.
Join me, if you will, in saying a prosperity affirmation for April. I am surrounded by abundance and prosperity. I gather them like flowers, and I am full.
Yes. By way of living gratitude, embracing and embodying the good, and paying it forward. I say thank you, God, for the opportunity to give and receive through our tithes and offerings. And as Jesus taught us through the loaves and the fish, by our intention, we multiply it and we pay it forward even more. Grateful. Thank you, presence of life, for this and so much more. And so I let it be, and so it is. Just as a little pause from one prayer to the next, give you guys the opportunity to know that Ms. Shannon did our altar table today. You guys have noticed our altar table process has revitalized. And so if anyone would like to take a lovely picture of that and send it to Vernon or myself, that would be a lovely thing. And thank you, Shannon, for your gifts. You're welcome. Just to make sure everyone here is aware, this is our prayer box, and every Sunday you'll have an opportunity to share the prayer process at this time in service, and then the practitioners will continue praying. Everything goes into the prayer box. And
until we know that the demonstration is at hand. And so, once again, it is my pleasure and my privilege to take up the power of the word and prayer from the atmosphere of pure gratitude. Thank you so much to our guest speaker, Brent. Thank you so much to our beloved Reverend Carolyn, who has made the space to give that gift of herself, which in turn gives us 10 times over. Thank you to the people that own this building that continue to bless us by opening space for us to be here. That would be Gina and Diane Lovin. And I recognize the one. And in recognizing that the one is all, necessarily, I am one with it, as each person here present is one with the one, according to each individual signature and understanding, in mind, heart, and soul. And from this alignment, I realize that the word spoken is sent forth into the law and manifest unto that which it is sent to be made self-evident in our actual experiences. Thank you, God. So with the heart of a child, I surrender it, I release it, I let it be, and I do believe that brings us to closing song.
It does. Stand as you're able and join us for There Is Only Love.
Singing and dancing is permitted.
In this moment, in this place, I remember who I am. Letting fear and worry fall away from me, I open my eyes and see there is only love. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets us free. There is only love. When I lose myself and it seems I've lost my way, and I go inside and I quiet my mind, I can hear things say, my fault. There is only love. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets us free. There is only love.
So, let us see. Just take a moment to stand in the right here and the right now. Find yourself grounded and supported by the atmosphere around you. And take a look around. Take a look around with the idea that you're going away with. Take forward right here and right now. Just imagine that you might be giving that unknown service to the person standing right next to you. Imagine taking that shopping cart with for the one next to you who might be the one to go pick it up. Imagine being the person that leaves a little extra note for the waitress. Imagine that. And just know that we are community, that this space is here for you, and this space is multiplying because you are here and we are here together. And so it is.
Amen.